Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Together. Thank you for joining us once again for an evening of talking about Dungeons and/or Dragons. I am, once again, David Shears, and I will be your host tonight. Surprise to all, I'm sure. I'll be chatting to Anna, whom you can see here. Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name's Anna. I use they, she, and he pronouns. I'm a vegetarian.
I mean, it's all very pertinent to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But tonight, we will be finding out more in that regard, going through some enticing questions and adventurous anecdotes. What questions you ask? Well, the dice decide. Before we kick off, this stream will run for approximately an hour. We are delighted to be sponsored by Hero Forge, Ultra Pro, and Elderwood Academy, and supported by D&D Beyond, Warriors of Waterdeep, and Level Up Dice. We are Roll Together RPG on all social media, and a massive thank you once again to our D20 Club on Patreon. Our shows are available as podcasts. Just search Roll Together RPG on your favorite podcasting app. So, without further ado, Anna, shall we roll that dice and
Roll
see
that dice.
what it cometh up with?
Yeah.
And as it makes its way across the screen, what will it be? What will it mean? Well, it is a 10. And a 10 means I ask you the following. What do you like in a DM?
Ooh. Okay. That's a good question. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say is going to sound really fun killery, but I think it's important. I like a DM who can control the table. I personally find it quite difficult to focus when there's like a lot going on as a player and a lot of people are talking and they're all talking at once and blah 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 and everyone's like, I'm gonna do this. I like a DM that's able to be like, okay, well, we'll come to you in a second, let's do this first, and then blah blah. Like, I think that's important so that it doesn't just become a screaming match amongst the players and everyone gets equal opportunity to do stuff. I also really like a DM that cares about the character stuff and not just about the combat as well. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's having that opportunity to, I guess, for each player to have the chance to do what it is they want to do, to make sure that the limelight is kind of spread between the party, and if there's something that wants to happen, just being able to be brought in and given the opportunity to kind of come forward and do your thing, so to speak. Like,
yeah.
Do the thing that the character's designed to do.
I had once in a home game. I think this probably explains a bit better what I mean about a DM being able to control the table. But like, I had in a home game once, like a new character joined the party and started incessantly flirting with my character, and the DM was playing an NPC and could see I wasn't necessarily enjoying this as an interaction, and the NPC made my character invisible and like put me under a table in the tavern and started feeding me bread under the table, like my little gnome. And I thought that was really sweet because it meant that like there was a reason that my character didn't have to be flirted with anymore. I thought it was nice.
Yeah, so it's a way of, without taking you out of the game per se, just sort of handling these things. Was there a session 0 in that campaign?
No, I don't believe there was. I came into that campaign halfway through.
I see.
I can't remember so there's 2 home games I play with that group, and I can't remember if it's Strahd or if it's Storm King's Thunder, but it's one of them, and I came in halfway through. They'd already started. So yeah, if there had been a session 0, I missed it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that would normally come up, I suppose, in terms of boundaries. And just so, chat, if you're aware, we do have access to the safety tools that we use, which you can find now in chat by putting in the requisite command, which will be down there. And I'm sure the mods will have put it up for you. Very, very important thing. Next only to fun, I would say.
Yeah.
In a D&D game. Like, at the end of the day, that's what we're there for, right? To enjoy ourselves. In terms of you said a good DM will have a mixture of the combat and the exploration and the social. Like, where would you fall on that? Do you like a sort of 50-50 split, or are you looking at a slightly different quotient?
I think it depends on what perspective I've made the character from. So if I take a character like Tin,
Tin was great.
I made Tin with combat in mind.
Yeah.
So I thrived in combat with Tin. But Tin's intelligence was a 6. So conversations with Tin, although hilarious, weren't always easy to role play. So I found that I enjoyed the combat side of that game more. However, if I'm playing a character that like it has a bit more about them sort of intellectually, then I really enjoy the role playing stuff. So I think it's a healthy balance, and I think as a DM it's that balance of like, what characters do I have and what situations do they thrive in most?
Yeah, giving each a chance to come to the fore. Just remind us about Tin's book.
Tin. So Tin was my half-orc barbarian who I rolled a 6 when I was rolling her intelligence score, and I decided that she couldn't read, and it was just in DMing that campaign. And then I said maybe she could teach herself to read, and he went, Anna, it would be really funny if you were teaching yourself to read something that wasn't common. So we decided on deep speech. So the way I envisaged it was just like Tin had this little picture book that she thought she was teaching herself to read. So it'd be like horse, but in deep speech. And it would actually be like aboleth, or like just like, which meant obviously when I think it was Toby's character who read the book and instantly went a bit mad for a bit. A little bit.
I like this idea that you think you're reading See Spot Run, and in fact you're actually enacting a ritual to summon Demogorgon.
Exactly. And I thought that was really funny. So every opportunity to get that book out in character, absolutely I was.
Absolutely. Well, shall we once again roll that dice and see what we have to speak about?
Let's.
So, as it makes its way across the screen, it is Rebecca, otherwise known as a natural 20.
Of course it is.
So I ask you this, Anna, with I don't know why I was doing that voice, but hey, let's roll with it. That's what we're about here. Which character was the hardest to say goodbye to?
Oh, okay. So I actually have an answer for this, and it's not a character that I play. Well, it's sort of it. So I DM a solo game that you play in.
Yeah.
It's sort of a solo game.
Yeah, it's fun.
But so you're kind of fighting a cult, and there was kind of a group of you all fighting this cult, and one of the characters in that group was called Tolly, and he was like a staunch dwarf. And then basically the equivalent of the prime minister kind of went, look, you're really good at fighting this cult. I'd like to make you a task force so you can do it permanently. And I rolled to see if anybody would not want to do this. And unfortunately, I rolled that Tolly was not going to be wanting to do it. So the plot then became, well, he wants to stay with his wife and start a family. And I remember there being this really lovely scene where he came in his gruff West Country accent to like your hotel room, your tavern room, basically, and was just like, so I'm really sad to not be coming with you, but like I hope you'll visit any time. And there was just this really sweet scene, and you played it so beautifully. And I was genuinely quite sad to see that character go.
Yeah, there are times when I do like to respect the storyline and not just rely on my plus 13 to persuasion.
Well, I did wonder if you were going to. I did wonder, but no, you didn't on that occasion. So sadly, Tolly stayed in the northeast, and for all we know, has started a family by now.
Oh, we shall revisit him. I was just thinking actually about the overlap between Tolly and Thomas of Warriors of Waterdeep fame, both coming from the city guard and slight sort of military background, and reluctantly to some extent dragged into adventures.
Yeah, so my world is completely homebrewed, but so there is a military academy on the world that I created, but the military academy is set in kind of what was traditionally orc country. So Tolly, as a dwarf, in going to this military academy, which is what he did do, he spent a lot of time around orcs, which I think also shows why when we did get into battle, he would rage quite severely, and he did get quite angsty. But in real life, he was just a sweet, gentle West Country cartographer, which I thought was quite a sweet little character thing.
Yeah, so I can say, chat, that Anna is actually an excellent DM. You've let the cat out of the bag there slightly by acknowledging publicly that you're capable of running campaigns and forming worlds and this, that, and the other. It's a dangerous slope.
It is a dangerous slope. I mean, the reason it works for you though is because you are somebody that knows the rules better than I do, which means if I cock up, you correct me, which is great. But also, you are somebody, especially in the character you're playing in that campaign, who likes the role play side of it, which is the bit that I'm good at. I'm not great on like mechanics and knowing exactly like what I'm allowed to do when and blah blah blah, but like I can write a good scene, which is why the pairing of me DMing and the character you're playing in that campaign I think works quite well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying it at the moment. And the maps and the cartography. Do you DM one of your home games at the moment as well?
No, I don't. I've considered it. I've told them I'd be happy to DM one, but a friend of mine got in there first, so he's DMing a homebrew game. Another friend is DMing Strahd, and another friend is DMing Storm King's Thunder, and we're kind of like doing it like once a week or every fortnight. And I just kind of went, you know what? I'll wait until one of the other campaigns settles down, and then I'll. It's
a more progressive model than the traditional way of just one person being saddled with it all.
Well, yeah. Well, it was originally Stuart who kind of introduced that friend group to Dungeons and Dragons. He used to DM pretty much everything, and then it sucked because he never got to play. And now when he does get to play in like the Storm King's Thunder, it's a joy because he just like he plays this really precocious bard. Who will go up to people and be like, so I'm the leader of this group. I don't know if you've heard of me. My name is Raphael, blah, 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 blah. And it's a joy. He's great at it. I love it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, Tolly is much missed, but I'm sure we'll return in the future.
I hope so. I hope you go and visit him and he's got like 3 kids running around. That's what I really want.
That is one of the things that I love as well, is when like the world continues in the background. This is something that Chris has always been very good at, and I've found that you're very good at it as well in this world, in terms of that things are happening off screen. So when you come back to the town that you were at 3 months ago, that the world has moved on, and it's not like this sort of solipsistic thing where if the heroes aren't there, nothing happens. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that felt like, especially because it's the first time I've ever DM'd, like I didn't want to be like I'm going to write a plot. I wanted to be like I'm going to write a world, and then the plot is up to you.
No, fantastic. And it's been great fun so far, especially like both of us being actors, like working on the role play elements. It's an absolute blast. Well, speaking of blasts, shall we blast the dice and see what number comes up? Roll that dice. So to make it the way across the screen, it has landed on a 17.
Oh, that rhymed.
Yes, I'm truly a natural poet, a bard for the ages. Nonetheless, leaving that to one side, how do you feel, Anna, about fudging rolls?
Okay. I have mixed feelings about fudging rolls. I have very mixed feelings about fudging rolls. Okay, so I would never fudge a crit. Failure or success, I would never fudge a crit. And in general, I don't like to fudge rolls myself, partly because my reactions are always so strong that most people know what I've rolled before I say what I've rolled. So
not a strong poker face, right?
No, I don't have a strong poker face. I think I get sus when somebody always rolls well. Because for me, Dungeons and Dragons isn't a game that you play to win. And I revel in the failures as much as I do in the successes. So I really love it when the whole party feels like that. And if I'm the only person in the party that feels like that, sometimes it can be like, well, I'm the shit one, and that I don't like. So I think as long as it's balanced and everybody gets to have a good time, and it's not just like one person is the star who always rolls a nat 20 and everybody else rolls like 11s and 8s, then I'm okay with it. Yeah.
F's in the chat for George's dice, everybody.
I'm so sorry, George.
Well, no, I totally agree with you. Like when things go wrong, it's as much of a plot point and as much an opportunity for character development as anything else.
Yeah, I love when things go wrong. It makes me laugh so much. It's one of my favorites. It can be frustrating as fuck, but I love it. Yeah.
There's nothing like an accidental dismemberment to just spark up a story, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, in the Warriors of Waterdeep game, I failed a lot. But not only did I fail a lot, I had a lot of random things I was doing. So I would fail, and then I'd be rolling on the wild magic table, and then I'd suddenly have a beard. And then that to me is like equally as good as like rolling a crit and taking down an enemy in one hit. Like suddenly having a beard of feathers. It's great.
Certainly, it's an opportunity for everybody to engage with a point, right?
Yeah.
So what was that? Was that the strangest thing that happened, would you say?
Oh, in that game, I made it rain. At one point. Oh, what else? There were so many random things. I won't reveal the ending, but I did have a lot of fun with the Wand of Wonder at the end of the campaign, which you'll all just have to wait for. Yeah, I think it's a great bit of kit. No, it was perfect. But yeah, I think my favorite one was thinking I was doing something really useful by like lightninged some, like, I think it was animated armor. And then I lightninged it and did some damage. I was like, cool. And then it started to rain because of the wild magic surge. And then instead of like attacking the thing again, I kept trying to do all this random shit, but the animated armor just kept like bonking me on the head. Basically, I just kept refusing to engage in combat with this thing, and it just kept attacking me. And I was just like, why is it raining?
Rain should definitely double your lightning damage.
I agree, and that's what I hoped might happen, but no.
Science has no place in Dungeons and Dragons.
No, instead in that combat, I think I got bonked on the head about 8 times. I took a lot of damage. I got trapped inside a wall, and then in trying to get myself out, I created an oven and nearly cooked myself and Thomas.
So it's very much the slapstick.
I live for that. I live for that shit. I think it's funny.
Hey, look, like, someone has to embrace the clown, and it's always fun to watch comedy done well.
And it's normally me.
Hey, it's the reactions to things that make it, right? Mm-hmm. When stuff doesn't go to plan. You just reminded me that I've got a Discord game going on which is text-based, and our party has just discovered a Wand of Wonder. So I'm slightly... I mean, it's sort of like Deck of Many Things light.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited to hear what you do with it. Yeah, so much chaos.
Well, I mean, I doubt my character will be anywhere near it because I'm fearfully suspicious of mages and magic. But yeah, it gives me a reason to sort of always be 120 feet behind everyone else, right? That's the way to go. But yeah, so yeah, fudging roll was always a controversial thing. I think probably chat's already aware, so I won't bang on about it too much. But when it comes to a DM not wanting to TPK a party just on the basis of an unlucky roll, I get that, because at the end of the day, like, that's not satisfying. There are satisfying ways to fail, and there are unsatisfying ways to succeed.
Absolutely,
and it's trying to find that balance to enjoy the story. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I would, yeah, and I think also it's about the collective fun rather than the individual fun. Like, absolutely, yeah. So I think if it's like, oh, I want to do this thing because it'll make me look really cool, then I'm a bit like, eh. But if it's like, I want to do this thing because it will make everyone in the party happy, and I haven't quite rolled high enough, so I'm just gonna add another 2. That for me is just like a slightly different thing. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I really enjoy kind of enabling others to do something really cool, or having the things prepped for sort of party synergy and combining together, because that's the thing that I always love, is when you have these multiple characters that all combine well together. Yeah, having that opportunity to work as a team, that's always fun, and it's always more satisfying.
Yeah, and for me, it is a team game. Like, even your solo game is a team game, because you have like NPCs that you play with, and we're about to introduce a new character that you play, and like, all of this stuff. So even then, although it's just you, it's a team game.
Oh yeah, it's totally fun. I mean, possibly I have split personalities. Possibly it's just fun to act. I mean, who can say which of the two it might be?
I think.
Speaking of what might be, shall we see what might be the next question on the dice? So we prepare the roll. We click the roll. It rolleth, and 'tis a 19.
Okay.
And a 19 means I ask this. If you could go back and change an in-game decision, what would it be? Making it rain?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is probably a general thing for me, and I tried deliberately to do it less with the Warriors of Waterdeep game, but I often will conserve my cool shit in case I need it. And so it's not just like a one decision, it's like I do it all the time. So I'll like get to the long rest and I'll be like, I've still got like 3 4th level spell slots left, and I've still got like 8 sorcery points, or whatever. I've still got loads of stuff that I didn't do because I was saving it in case I needed it for later. So I think what I would change is a more generalized thing, but also something I would like to change about myself as a player is not being afraid to like do the cool shit, because like even if I run out of all my spell slots, like if you're in a good party, there are ways out of every situation. So
yeah, that's very true. And that's again like going back to what you're saying about it being a team experience and a group experience. Yeah, absolutely. Although I can guarantee you that the time when you decide to just expend all of your resources because it'll be fun is the time that the party gets attacked during the long rest.
Well, yeah, quite. And in the Warriors of Waterdeep game, I did try and use more of my stuff, and by the end was running out of things. So like I've seen it happen. So
at least it was all in a good cause, right? It was all in a good cause for that goal. So what's the coolest ability that you've used? Avoiding spoilers, but when you've had the chance to.
In that game.
Oh, in any game really, but in that game as well.
Okay, well in that game, I'm a big fan of Stephen the Talking Lamp. I'm a huge fan of Stephen the Talking Lamp. Being able to stabilize when you're completely down is a miraculous thing, and being able to give it a Cockney accent and call it Stephen is great. I love that. But I think my favorite ability that I've had, like the coolest thing, I started this sentence not knowing where I was going, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I mean, the sentence involves Stephen the Talking Lamp, so it's already a success.
I was thinking about Stephen the Talking Lamp, and I just forgot everything else. Yeah, I've got I play another sorcerer in a home game, and she has tempestuous magic, which is a really useful thing. Which means if I make an attack, I can float 10 feet up in the air, which often without opportunity attack, which often will mean that I am out of the line of fire, which is great. It's really useful.
Excellent. So are you a fan of sorcerers then?
I wasn't. I'm aware this might be a question that comes up later, so I'll try not to give a very detailed answer. But like, I used to be very scared of magic users because I didn't really know how spells worked. And of the magic classes I've played since I started playing magic classes, sorcerers are definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
I think they're the easiest to use. For me, anyway.
Arguably. I just said one of the trickier ones to fully maximize. So if you're finding a sorcerer easy, then other magic classes should be reasonably.
I think it's because from a character perspective, like the backstories are easier for me to write because I'm not a particularly gaudy person or a particularly like make a pact with the devil person. Like, and sorcerers just being like, your dad was magic, so you're magic. Like for me, that's way easier, you know.
That's true, and a lot of options in the subclass as well in terms of where you go to with the
definitely.
And
like my storm magic sorcerer from the home game and Coriolis could not be more different. Like they are so different. They're such different characters, which I think is exciting. That's
one of the joys of the game, I guess. The amount of choice that you have in terms of one character versus another. I recently played a wizard that couldn't have been more different from Ashra Beckett, so it is the joy of self-expression. And shall we express ourselves by rolling the dice and seeing what cometh? And here it goes across the screen. Ooh, interesting. So this is a 4, and this is our classic take on the age-old dinner party question. So the question is, whom would you love to have at your gaming table?
Ooh. Like out of the whole world?
Well, I mean, the assumption with the dinner party question is that it's like anybody living or dead. It's probably not that exciting if you say my Auntie Susan. Like, it's probably useful if it's people that, we may have heard of.
Well, I'll tell you who came to mind.
I'm not going to constrain you.
I'll tell you who came to mind. So, I would really like to see a bard played by Lizzo.
Okay. For those of us, I mean, obviously I know, but for those of us who may not be aware who Lizzo is.
I do my hair, toss, check my nails. But no, okay, fine. I'm
just culturally disenlightened. I apologize.
Chat. I need somebody to make a poll so that I know that other people know who Lizzo is, please. She is right. She's an icon. I would see her in concert tomorrow. She sings, she dances, she raps, and she can play the flute. And I love her. She's amazing.
That's a combo. Right
yeah,
there.
She's brilliant. She's But yeah, I think she's hilarious. And I watched her, I think there's a Netflix David Letterman interview, and I watched that recently, and she's just super cool. I just love her. And I'd love to see her bard as well, because I just think it would just be the most like larger than life character, and I would love to see it.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. With the live accompaniment as well, right?
Absolutely. I would get her to bring the flute, and yeah, we'd have a lovely time.
Fantastic. And whom else would be at the table?
Whom else? Okay. Right. That's a good question. I think. Oh dear. Now I'm overwhelmed by a choice, and it hurts.
This is the problem, that you do literally have effectively an infinite amount of choice.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's stressful. Okay, so I think I want Ian McKellen.
Yep.
I think I want an Ian McKellen. I don't want an Ian McKellen wizard. I want to see Ian McKellen try his hand at something else. Like, I don't know, like a paladin or like a barbarian. I want an Ian McKellen barbarian. That's what I want.
I think I could see Ian McKellen playing like a barbarian, or say like a rogue who's concerned that one of the party's going to turn against him, so he goes to visit him in prison and says, "You shall not grass." Thank you. I'm here all night. Try the fish.
Yeah, so I want a Lizzo bard. I want an Ian McKellen rogue, let's say. I like that idea. I probably need a cleric, so I need somebody with like quite a calm. I want a Jennifer Coolidge cleric. I realised I said calm and then immediately went, no, Jennifer Coolidge. I want a Jennifer Coolidge cleric. I think that would be fucking hilarious.
I mean, peace does not mean calm.
No. You look like the 4th of July. It's the worst Coolidge impression ever. But I want her. I want her in my party, yeah. I just think we'd have a riot. And then I want Freddie Mercury to be there. I don't know what I would want him to play, but I want him to be there.
I can see Freddie Mercury being a good DM.
Oh my god. Right, I think we've written my dream game. I get to play Freddie Mercury DM. I have a Lizzo bard, a Jennifer Coolidge cleric, and an Ian McKellen rogue. I think that's amazing. I'm so excited, but I'm frustrated with that.
Set in the world of the Queen musical.
Yes.
I'm sure someone's just working on that game right now.
Yes. Can somebody give those people a call for me, please?
We'll see what we can do to make it happen. That'd be an awesome game, to be fair.
That'd be amazing.
And would you play in this game?
Yeah, I would play in this game. I would.
What would you play?
Right. So I think I would have to be maybe something that kind of can do damage, and so maybe something like a druid. Yeah,
druid's a good shout. That's sort of the hybrid, linking everything together.
Yeah, or a paladin, but I've never really played a paladin before. I have an idea for a paladin, but I haven't played a paladin before. So
my favorite realization with paladins was that lawful good is not lawful nice. So there's a lot of
you said that in the Stephen episode, I remember.
Yeah, I need to get a t-shirt with it on.
Yes.
My life will not be complete.
So I've designed a paladin. I hope I get to play her one day. I was like, what should I play my next character? And my brain went, wine mum. So I've designed a character. Basically, I was like, okay, so I need a class that has live, laugh, love pillows in her house, but also says, not my daughter, you bitch. So it's a paladin, a wine mum paladin. Yeah, I think she'll be a tabaxi. It's going to be really fun. Yeah.
Not my daughter, you bitch. Sigourney wine mum.
Yes.
In essence, yeah. Oh, fantastic! Yeah, I could see that working really well. I'd definitely watch that game on stream. Speaking of games, shall we play the game of chance, which involves me rolling the dice to see what question I ask you?
Yes, please.
Excellent. Well, 'tis interesting. 'Tis 16. 16 means I ask you this: if you could make yourself in D&D, what would you be?
Okay. So I think I'd probably be a druid. Actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a cleric or a paladin or anything that like. I don't think that the impetus to adventure would come from like a higher source or a higher power. I think it would be more earthly than that, which makes me think druid. I'm not at all sneaky or strong or stealthy, so it's not a rogue, it's not a barbarian, it's not a fighter. Yeah, I think it's a druid.
I could definitely see your spells being granted to you by some sort of astral puppy.
Yes!
Yeah. Anna has the cutest dog. It's a delight.
She's very cute. I believe her bark has appeared in games on this channel before. Yeah, no, she's
demanding. Yeah, her agent's been in touch, demanding fees for a guest spot.
Exactly. Yeah, she plays the direwolf. Yeah, but
background effects.
Yeah, no, I think I'd be a druid, and I think I'd be maybe like a gnome.
Okay.
I realize that in real life I'm very tall, but I feel like as a person, like I don't take up very much space, and I'm quite like compact as a personality. So I feel like I'd be a gnome druid.
Can understand that. You could also have the sort of species ability to fade away and things as well out of combat. So that's a fight. I'm invisible. I'm under the table.
Yeah.
This is the way that things go. And so, what kind of abilities do you think you would have as the druid?
Well, I'm not well versed in druids. I've only played one, and it was for a one shot that Niall ran. And I took basically so she was a Yanti, so I took a lot of poison shit, like a lot of snaky, poisony, noxious, gassy stuff. Basically, I think I'd be the opposite of that, and I'd probably take a lot more kind of like almost floral, like viney green stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I was looking at the new subclasses that Tash has brought in, and I think it's called like a fungal druid or something.
That's what it was. Yeah, it's just a fungal druid.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
She was very cool. Yeah.
Permanently hallucinating or something.
Yeah, but she also, I believe at one point in that game, we killed 2 people, and she used fungus to animate their corpses. So she just had like these like dead bugbears following her around.
That's like something out of Resident Evil.
Yeah. And I remember I called one of them Kronos because in a home game, my friend who was playing a bugbear died, and his character was called Kronos. So I called the corpse Kronos. It was great. And nobody knew that person, but I made it happen.
This is just a tribute.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I guess for Kronos, his time had come. And anyone in chat who gets that, well done. You get a sausage roll.
I get that.
Well done. You get a sausage roll.
Thank you.
I'll have to cook one and bring it around. On that note, shall we see what's cooking with the dice?
Let's.
Tis. Ooh, interesting. Tis a 14. A 14 means I ask this. What's the funniest moment, Anna, you've experienced in-game?
Okay. So I have 2 answers for this because I feel like I should give an answer that isn't the Warriors of Waterdeep game. But let me start with the Warriors of Waterdeep game because obviously it's the time that I erupted gems from the Wand of Wonder. Obviously. That was hilarious. I remember reading out the effect and just nearly in tears because I thought it was so funny. And then I caught one little blue gem, held it close to my heart. It was great. Yeah. And then and then the next episode, Thomas scooped up a load of blue gems, brought them over. There was a big hug. It was a lovely moment. But yeah, hilarious. When I just pointed the Wand of Wonder at a group of skeletons and was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And just gems. It was brilliant.
It's because you accidentally entered the code WoW gems. Is that what happened?
Yeah, exclamation mark. But I think my other favourite one, and this is a long time ago, I don't know if you remember this. This was a home game. It was in Union. And we were in like a crystal place and there was no gravity. And Mericus ended up floating away in 0 gravity. And I was playing, I think it was a ranger. And so I notched an arrow to my bow, I tied a length of rope to it, and I shot our party member and then pulled him in with the rope. So I did damage, but I did also save him from going into the ether, because my brain could not figure out another way of getting him back. So I think shooting a party member to save his life was up there for me.
I think that's the truest definition of friendly fire.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not that friendly, because that character didn't like any of you very much. But yeah, just like, he's floating away. Cool, I'll shoot him. Like that. I think that's funny. Yeah.
Americas. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I remember that campaign. It's the one campaign where I've ever received inspiration from Chris, and it was for kicking a clerk out of a flying ship. So there you go. You had to be there. In context, it was great.
It just sounds murderous when you say it like that.
I mean, this is why no one wants to play in our home game. Because like, everything I've said about it on stream just makes it sound like just murdering chaos. Yeah. And there's so much more nuance than that. But you know, I guess once you've made it that kind of impression, and you know, we did burn down a pub full of gnomes. So it is what it is.
I think this was before I joined, because that would have upset me. Yeah. My other favorite thing from that game was the bag.
Oh, the bag. Oh, you must tell the story of the bag.
The bag.
This is brilliant.
So the bag, there was like a witch, a hag person. I can't really remember. But anyway, so she had like, we had this bag, and it was like okay. So off a corpse, somebody had tried to loot this bag and had nearly got swallowed by it, because it was like an animated bag that like ate people. It was like a portal into the abyss or something. So it took a lot of effort to get that character out of this bag. And we went up to this hag. It was meant to be this big like encounter where we had to like try and negotiate with her and possibly fight her, and possibly someone was going to die, and it was this whole thing. And I think it was your character. No, it wasn't. It was Lee's character. Lee's character went, yes. Well, we have something that can help. It's in this bag. Opened the bag, and it swallowed the witch. So something that was meant to take us maybe 3 hours took us about 10 minutes.
I did some good rolls.
Yeah. And then
bad rolls, and just shoving the hag in the bag.
Hag in a bag. It was amazing. Yeah. Incredible. I thought that was a great moment.
Yep. Hagatha Crispy. So they say. But yeah, I mean, that was up there with the portal and the bag of holding. Ancient Black Dragon Killer. I love that though, isn't it? Like when players just use things so intelligently.
I love a loophole. I love a loophole.
And I think for a DM, like, it must be on the one hand really satisfying to see like the players come up with this ingenious thing, and on the other hand there must be that part that's just like, I spent 3 hours prepping this encounter.
Well, this is why for the home game that I run, I don't write a plot. I just don't, because I figure either you will do the thing in half the time I think you will, or you will be like, I don't want to go there today. Yeah. And so it's much better for me to write locations.
That's true. I mean, and I love the social stuff. I mean, you know, combat things are fun, but mainly I only prep combat things because there's a good chance that a campaign is going to contain some element of combat. Yeah. But when playing sort of Neverwinter Nights and stuff, I would always just pump into the persuasion, deception, those kind of charisma skills, because it's really fun sometimes to kind of talk your way around a problem or come up with a reason, like, oh, I'm just here to fix the pipes or whatever. Yeah. You know, and that's also fun. But then again, there does come a time when you get to the big bad, and it's probably better if you can do more than just glare at them. Like cutting words.
And this is the thing, because you love a persuasive character. You love to play a persuasive character, and I think you play them so well. Which is why when I wrote this, when I wrote this campaign, I was like, okay, so it has to be talky, but it can't be something that you can just persuade your way completely out of everything. So, which is why the cult works quite well, because these are not people that can be reasoned with. These are not people where kind of fact-based arguments work. Yeah. So your persuasion doesn't always help.
There's a spell for that. It's called suggestion.
Yes, and it's worked too well on a number of occasions. Yeah.
It is that kind of like some of the best video games. The fact that there's more than one solution to a problem, and there's more than one way of going about it. And as long as everybody's on the same page and communicating, then you have the opportunity sometimes to do the combat, sometimes to do the exploration, and this kind of thing. And that's so much fun.
But also in a world like that, I feel like it means when you do get to combat that the stakes are so much higher, because it's like you've tried everything else. You've tried negotiating, you've tried persuading them, you've tried like lying to them, and nothing's worked. So if you get to combat, it's like, oh, this is my last ditch attempt.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many campaigns, like the last campaign I was involved in, where it could have easily come down to one roll going badly or otherwise, and you've thrown everything into it. And when that all comes together, it's so much more satisfying than turning up and being like, well, I think actually you should just go away. Roll for persuasion. Like, it's getting that balance right, and that depends on the synergy of the group, but and everybody will have a different place they want to draw that line on that scale.
Some people love combat, like that's what they thrive for, and that's great, and I like being in a party with those people, but I also I love the role-playing stuff equally as much.
It started as a war game originally, or at least was marketed as such, and has now become something different. Speaking of something different, should we move on to a question that is something different?
Yes.
So,
a man with a tape recorder up his nose.
It is time to roll that dice, and we have rolled a 3. And as was foreshadowed and teased somewhat before, what is your favourite character class?
Okay, so we've talked about sorcerers. I do love sorcerers. This is really hard because the way I create characters is normally so intrinsically linked to the class that it's almost like asking me what my favorite type of person is. I think so I do have a soft spot for a bard. Not necessarily to play, although the time I did play a bard, I had the best time, but that's partly because they were a pig. But I love watching people play bards, and they're my favorite characters to interact with role-playing wise. Like I've seen you play a bard. My friend Stuart plays a bard. Every bard I've ever interacted with in game has always just been a lot of fun. I think
they used to be rubbish.
Well, did they?
Oh, in earlier editions, complete trash. Compared to now. Yeah,
I mean, I love a bard. I don't know if that's a good answer to the question because it wasn't about what characters I enjoy playing the most, but in terms of interacting with, I should play more bards. If I get an opportunity to play more bards, I'll play more bards.
I mean, the question is very deliberately not what is your favorite character class to play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you have a least favorite?
I think I've yet to foray into the world of artificers. I was going to do it. I was going to multi-class into an artificer with one character. And I didn't end up doing it because reasons. But every time I read the sheet, the D&D Beyond sheet, I struggle to find like the way I would create an artificer. So like if you ask the question later of how do you create a character, then I will have already covered it in this answer. But basically, I like to create a character from like a real world equivalent. So I like to be like, I want to play Wednesday Addams, but D&D. Well, so Wednesday Addams becomes a drow sorcerer, and then I was going to make her multi-class her as an artificer, but in that game, one of her friends died, and her friend was a ranger, so I multi-classed her with a ranger in like his memory, and it was a whole thing. Okay. And I play a gnome monk, and he is what would the artful dodger be if she was in D&D? You know, I that's kind of how I like to create characters, and I just have not found a real world thing that I want to play in D&D that an artificer would lend itself to.
Tony Stark.
Don't give me ideas. Just play the most selfish, like arrogant prick ever. Yes, I could do it.
I've managed to make 3 magic items by level 2. Are you giving them to anyone? No.
No, they're mine.
Selling them around.
Give me all your gold.
Yeah, I mean, artificer multi-classed with blade singer. That's interesting. Or just it's a nice like one dip.
Yeah.
And then build on top of it. And it's interesting in its own right. I must admit, I haven't really read that much about it because I don't know. I haven't exhausted my adventures in other classes yet.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. It'd be quite fun.
There are a couple of other classes that I've just straight up never played yet, and of the ones I've never played, Artificer is not one that I'm like, I have an idea for that. So, yeah.
It feels like, I'm rightly or wrongly, and if anybody has played an Artificer in chat, I'm sure they can correct or agree. But it does seem like quite a difficult class to play. I feel like extra complications to it.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably an amazing class to multi-class with.
To start with, I think if you take a one dip, it's quite good, especially if you're playing a clothy, because you get shields and medium armor and spells that you wouldn't normally get as a wizard, like healing spells and things. And the cool thing... Sorry, go on.
No, I once GM'd a one-shot home game, and I randomly assigned characters, and one of them came out as an artificer, and one thing he did get to do was create a tiny cannon that sat alongside him in battle. I thought that was really cute.
That's awesome.
That's the thing I like. Yeah.
But boring mechanics-wise, with an artificer in terms of multi-classing, the spell slots round up instead of down, unlike every other class. So it basically means that if you took one level an artificer and then went into wizard, you would have the same number of slots that you would have, even though it will take you still one level to get the spell level above. So it's ways of kind of combining things and looking, I'm a character alchemist. I just love theory crafting and things.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet descended into the world of spreadsheets, but let's be honest, it's a matter of time.
It really is.
One day I'll just be found in my flat surrounded by, an abacus. It's an extra 0.2 damage per round. Yeah. Thankfully I have people such as you to keep me grounded. And any other classes that you haven't played yet?
I haven't played a cleric because I'm scared of... I haven't played a cleric or a paladin. I haven't played a straight up ranger. I've played a rogue ranger and a barbarian and something else ranger, but I haven't ever played a straight up ranger. I'm not really sure what a ranger character actually would look like, but I'm interested to find out.
Very strong choice for the right kind of campaign.
Yeah.
Very questionable choice for the wrong kind of campaign. If your campaign is not going to involve survival checks at any point, then Ranger is a suboptimal choice usually. Yeah. But there's a lot of subclass choices and flexibility with it. I'm playing a Ranger at the moment in the Discord game, and that's been a lot of fun. Although sharpshooter is such a roll of the it fails at the wrong time. Okay, so what if I started a campaign tomorrow, what character do you feel inclined towards?
Well, except for my wine mum paladin,
of course.
I think it would be a bard, but I think it would be a Billie Eilish type bard, a kind of stroppy, not stroppy. I love Billie Eilish. I don't say that pejoratively, but a kind of teenage, grungy, writes music in her bedroom, I think
adolescent rebellion sort of.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that is drawing me as well at the moment.
Okay. I'd be up for that. Maybe I can run a two-person game.
I would enjoy that. Bring it on. I'll play my Billie Eilish bard.
An adolescent bard's tale. Speaking of tales, we are rapidly approaching the tail end of this conversation, but I think we may have time for one or two more. So let us see what the dice have in store. Ooh, interesting. So it's an 18. Which means I ask you, who is the best villain you've ever faced in a game?
Okay. I think the Black Dragon in Vile Shadows was pretty excellent. And the way Justin characterized them was very cool. Just as kind of this totally over it, old, please just let me die already. That, I thought that was really cool. So the Strahd campaign, I'm currently playing in a home game of the Strahd campaign, and some of it I'm really enjoying, and some of it infuriates the fuck out of me. So my character's backstory, because she's a drow, this is the Wednesday Addams character, she actually is from Castle Ravenloft. Like her dad works for Strahd, and she was never allowed outside to like explore the world and whatever. So when these adventurers just stumbled upon where she happened to be, like they came into Castle Ravenloft and they didn't even realize they were there because I passed my deception check. So to this day, I don't think the rest of the players realized that they were in Castle Ravenloft at that time. But yeah, they picked me up and they were like, "Oh, we're going to this place," and I was like, "Cool, I'll come with you." Cool. And then I got banished from the castle because Strahd found out. So because my character has a personal connection to Strahd, I find him quite a cool villain, but I know that the rest of my party find him absolutely infuriating. So, yeah.
I mean, there are so many opportunities to just use Strahd to psychologically torture a party.
Well, yeah, quite.
It's
and
a good campaign.
It takes a careful DM, I think, to do a campaign like that, and that's what I think Stu's really excelling at it. It's
one that's well worth playing if anybody's sort of wondering what kind of campaigns to go into. But I agree with you, and it does require, at times a delicate touch in order to strike that balance.
We're currently doing the Fanes, so we've done the first Fane. I think we've done the second Fane, and we're we've literally just played this session. This is one of my favorite villain encounters we've ever had. So we went to visit Baba Yaga, the wet nurse, and she was in the bath, but she was like a hologram, and then the house came alive and we had to battle the house, and the house was like a 50-foot tall tree. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun because I was outside and I was like, I could just cast fireball on it, and then I was like, all of my friends are inside the tree, I will kill all my friends. So that as a combat encounter was both infuriating and brilliant.
I guess if you killed a house with a French barometer, you'd end up with a mortgage.
I'm not smart enough to understand that joke.
Don't know. I'm incorrigible. If anybody got that, 2 sausage rolls and a donut. And on that note, before I hit myself with the pun stick one more time, shall we see if we can squeeze in a question for the finale?
Let's. I'll try and make my answer good.
So, no, it's been lovely so far. Ooh, okay, interesting one to end on. It's an 8. So, how do you feel about PvP?
Love it. I think because I think of PvP as less of a combat thing and more of like a argument thing. I think when characters disagree, it can, as long as the players still get on, as long as the players are all on the same page, then I think PvP works really well. And I think especially if you need to write a character out of a campaign. So I've had a couple of instances where we needed to write a character out of a campaign. So it became he was evil all along. And we didn't know, and then it became this big okay, how do we kill the cleric? Which is fun. I think it's good. I think if you just let the party get on all the time, then it's not always interesting. It means a lot more work for the outside world, basically. If the party is all like, oh yeah, we all agree all the time, then the outside world has to be more interesting to make up for it. But if one character's like, I'm going to the shop, and another character's like, I'm going to the tavern, and then everyone's arguing about whether we go to the shop or the tavern, that, there can be some really nice role play in those moments. Yeah,
absolutely. It's that natural kind of tension that comes up in character, right? Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, and I agree with you. I would distinguish between combat PvP and social PvP, quite extensively. But it is, again, it's one of those things you cover in a session 0. Yeah. Because you and I have both been at tables where it seemed like possibly the character PvP was kind of degenerating into players getting annoyed at each other.
Yeah.
And then it's that taking that time to kind of check in and just make sure that everybody's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think in that circumstance, even combat PvP works, because it's like, I think I'm a big believer in you play the character. And if you've got two characters in a party that really don't get on, and they're reaching a point where physical confrontation might arise, as long as everybody checks in, is like, are we okay? Are we okay that this is about to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And everyone is on the same page with it. I think even that can work. So I wouldn't shy away from PvP at all.
I mean, I live in hope that one of my old characters is brought back as an NPC baddie. Like that'd be the ultimate compliment. Having to fight myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if it was Blenkin.
Blenkin! We don't talk enough about Blenkin.
That's an Abbey of Eldath reference for anyone wondering. Is available on
Blenkin is
YouTube,
my favourite character you've played, maybe. I love him. I adore him.
Was it the mobile hot tub? Was that it?
The mobile hot tub was chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. But also there was this whole scene in that one shot where like George was stuck in a room with the villain and just kept being like, would you like a cup of tea? Which I thought was great. Yeah.
There's more than one way out of a problem. If it can't be resolved with tea, you know,
then it can't be resolved.
That makes it sound like it involves punching things. Those who have seen Gloom Falls, and if you haven't, you should have. But yeah, like, so what else would sort of spring to mind in that regard? Like in terms of situations where you feel like PvP has worked really effectively and well?
I played in a home game where one of the characters kind of got turned into a werewolf. Like he got bitten by I think it was the Strahd campaign. He got bitten by a werewolf, and so we were staying in the Bungermaster's house.
The Bungermaster? Yeah,
like the mayor.
Silvia Berlusconi? Do you mean I hesitate to correct you, but do you mean the Burgermaster? The Bunga Master is a very different
I made that mistake in that game as well, and I can't believe I haven't corrected it in my brain. The Burger Master, fine, sorry. We were staying in their house. I'm going to call him Bunga Master, fine.
I'm just imagining Berlusconi, but go ahead.
We stayed in the Bunga Master's house with his wife, and they were lovely people, and they'd like graciously given us this room, and we were having a long rest, and then suddenly, I can't remember whose watch it was, but we could just see this character, and it had been prepped with the DM beforehand, so the guy playing this character knew it was going to happen. Just started to like shake in his sleep, and we didn't know that the guy playing the character knew what was about to happen. So we were being like, cleric, come, like, and trying to think like, okay, well, what's happened? Is there something that he ate that we didn't eat? And blah. And then like 5 minutes later, he stands up and he's a werewolf, and he's like, haha, I'm a werewolf. And then we're like fighting him to try and stop him being a werewolf. And now he's kind of a half werewolf. So we had to have a fight in the Bungermaster's house. And then they woke up and they were like, is everything all right up there? We were like, fine, one of our pals is a werewolf now.
Just throwing Italian newspapers at you. It got horribly vicious very quickly.
Canon, it's the Bungermaster now.
Well, perhaps, people may after this be going off to a Bunga party. Who knows? To each their own. I will not yuck, another's yum. Well, we still have time to squeeze in one more question. Are you as excited as I am to roll that dice?
Roll that dice!
Ooh, okay. So it's a 13, and a somewhat esoteric question to end on. What do dice mean to you?
Oh. I'm not a person that likes to make decisions, so I love dice. I like. I think it's what makes the game fun. Because if you know what's going to happen, then you may as well read a book, you know? It's how do you've got to have a way of randomizing it, of making it, you know, of putting chance in there that things will fail and things will go wrong. Otherwise, there's no stakes and it's not fun. Yeah. So dice are, I think possibly one of the most important bits of D&D.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just everyone do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that either would be amazing or nobody would have fun.
Do you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me either of like a Klingon party where everyone's just continually boasting about their great deeds.
Exactly.
Or like, I don't know if you ever did this when I was in primary school, and like we were playing in the playground with like, you know, finger guns and stuff. And there'd always be that kid who was like, I'm dodging all the bullets, and I was like, I was always commit, and I was like, if you've got me, I'm going down dramatically.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, cool. I mean, play with the cheat mode if you want, but where's the fun?
Yeah, I think it's important to me that there is an element of chance in D&D, because, I mean, some of the most exciting moments have been when my character is on death's door, and I'm rolling death saves. I once did a session where we were in battle and my character went down 3 times. I was on like my final death save 3 times and then got revived, and it's now become canon. That character goes down all the time and they're very squishy. But it's now become canon because this is what I did in that session, where every time that character wakes up from having been on death saves, they see the villain is still in front of them, screams and throws a fireball. Like, that's canon what happens every time that character goes down. And I've done it maybe 6 times since then. So now it's become a joyous thing whenever that character goes down, because it's now become, okay, I'm down, up, fireball, every time. And I think that's hilarious. So I love to go down for that reason.
Yeah, the special ability myoclonic fireball.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, let's hope you never get knocked out in a flammable area.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the time that this became canon, that session where I went down 3 times in one battle, we were fighting, I think it was a huge tree, or like it was a gargantuan beast, whatever it was. I think it was a tree. Yeah. So everybody had been using fire because that was one thing we knew was going to work against this particular monster. Yeah, so fireball just made sense. And you know, sometimes my allies did also get damaged, but I think that's part of the fun.
Do you have a favourite set of dice, or do you use different dice for different characters, something like that?
So I like to have different dice for different characters. I often will use the D&D Beyond dice. Especially if it's a group who I know in general never fudge their rolls. Yeah. But I do, in general, I like to have specific dice for specific characters. Yeah. So like I've got a character called Gumbo, and she is the gnome monk, the Artful Dodger, and she has these little like they're like light blue with like pink writing. And they're like slightly smaller than all my other dice, so it feels wrong to use any other dice for her. Like, fair way. Yeah, it's mean I have now got quite a lot of dice.
Well, I mean, I think that's true of many of us involved in this sort of dice hoarding hobby that we have.
Yeah. When I played the Evocation Eladrin for, I think it was a one-shot that Emma ran, I had, because the character's whole thing was their hair was orange and it was all fire and everything was fire. So I think I used my like wispy kind of orange die. I love having different dice for different characters. In the same way that somebody like Sharmony likes to come dressed as their character, I think for me it's the dice.
It's that personalizing factor, right? Yeah, I get that. I mean, if I had a massive costume cupboard, I'd probably do both. But as it is, I just cosplay as Australians.
Well, I did for Coriolis, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun. Well, speaking of dice, we have rolled our last for the evening. Thank you. That is about all we have time for. Is there anything you want to plug?
You can hire me. I'm an actor. I'm very out of work. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm worth following on social media, but if you do want to, you can find me at Anna Fordham on Instagram, Twitter, and I think TikTok is that as well. Yeah.
Stick your show well up there. You never know. There might be some casting directors in the chat.
Yeah, show roll share day.
Well, thank you once again for joining us, Anna, and thank you, chat, for joining us and being a part of the show. If you enjoyed us, we stream every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. GMT, and we stream D&D games on Mondays and Tuesdays. On Mondays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. GMT, and on Tuesdays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. GMT. And in chat, you'll be able to see exactly what games we are running at the moment. Don't miss them. All of our shows stream at twitch.tv/RollTogetherRPG, and there's a YouTube link in chat now. And don't forget, you can also enjoy us as a podcast. Many thanks again to our D20 Club on Patreon, without whom none of our shows would be possible. Do check it out. All of our sponsors and supporters. And once again, stay classy at the table. See you next time.